No board is complete without a big central objective, and that is why I have made this higher section of the board here. And what I love about this is that obviously we can have the church in here like this, but we can also just take the whole thing out and we could put an entirely different objective in, such as this one here. Or maybe we'd have the board entirely differently. Just by splitting the highest sections, we can put them at the side of the board, and they are now higher sections which are looking over a vast area of open ground on the board. And in today's video of Good Enough Senior, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to make this higher section, continuing the Modular Osgiliath board series. The painting of the floor and the walls has been covered in a previous part of the series, so we'll not be covering that, just trying to get this video as short as possible, so I will make sure that is linked at the appropriate time. But for now, admire the board and let's get into how I made the higher sections. Onto our top layer now, and design has changed ever so slightly from what I drew out, because I realised the importance of actually having a slope so that cavalry models can actually get up and down that, otherwise that's going to be ridiculous. So these corners are going to be cut off in its same angle, 45 degrees, as the previous one. But in the centre here there's going to be a slope going from wherever it cuts off here, up here like this. If it went in that way, then it would take up too much of the centre, because in the middle here there's going to be 20 by 20 to act as a potential central objective. And then in the flat corners, these are going to be straight cut, not going to be angled, but they are going to have a set of stairs either side, meaning that there's room for a couple of building things in the middle there. That is going to be the plan. So we'll start off with this one, and we're going to cut the corners off our 45-degree angle. We want it to match up the other one, so it's going to be 10 and 10 again. And these I am going to cut with the hot wire cutter, I think, because I think that's going to be a better cut. So I'm going to do that off camera. I was right, look at those lovely cuts. They all do. So now I'll decide how much of a slope I want to be putting on this. So if you look at how much we've got to work with here, we've got 32 centimetres maybe. Nice if there was a bit of space, and then a slope, and then a bit of space. So before we had it 5, I'll tell you what, I'm thinking that it came to here and then went a centimetre, and then it went in by 5, that, because that's how wide the whole thing is going to be. And then we had 5, where's my set square? The ever disappearing set square. So then we have 5 centimetres of, probably, actually pretty cut right in, so it might be 5 flat, and I want 5 of flat at the other end after cutting in a centimetre. Very much kind of thinking out loud at the moment. 5 along here. So if it was sloped from there up to, I mean, that seems like a pretty decent slope. I don't know how hard it will be to cut. Mark it out and see what we think. So we're on about having a slope from there to, I mean, I don't hate it, just wondering the very best way of cutting that nicely. So as with a lot of things, I might just go for it. Stuff doesn't need to cut out that, but I don't want to go all the way down. Yeah, so I want to go on at least some floor there. I don't think it would look terrible, so I might just go for it. But how is the answer? What question about that? Oh, this, you know, that we can cut down. Yeah, decided on making this far too difficult for myself, and it's better I just cut this all out and then replace it. That's going to be the way. Okay. Cut all the way through there, and that's a decent cut. And then this bit here, and we'll just put it back in again, rather than trying to do a really complicated cut, because that's cool. It's now cutting this line that's difficult, but this has gone pretty well, so it might not be the worst idea to just cut it with a knife. That's maybe a terrible idea, but I've decided that I'm just going to try and cut it carefully with a knife. It'd be a really bad decision, but we learn together. First I'll change myself a new blade. I'll just go slow and steady here. I mean, come on. That's perfect. So as with previous ones, I'm going to put the texture on it. So here, I'm going to put cobblestones silently as well. And then here as well. Just do a tiny slope here where the top bit's going to go on. And then around all of the edges, do our bricks. So this is what I've got designed on the other half of the higher board. I really want to try and make it look kind of fancy, and I really like the angle that the lower board cut out. So what I've done is I've replicated that angle here and here. I'm going to have two widening staircases. Hopefully they're going to work really well, but we will see. So this is where we've cut down and mark my verticals there, and just try and make it as good as the last big cut that I did. So the only thing left to do is to mark out where these are going to be cut out to, which is the trickiest thing of all, because it's one of those things where it's fractions of centimetre. So yeah, 0.8, which is going to be there. After that, it's going to be finished slightly early there. Do some cutting. I'm going to start with this cut here. Just have to go along this line and down less than a centimetre. And if I go down a bit further, it's okay. Let's get our ruler in for this. Not entirely sure how I'm finishing this, but I know how I'm starting it. So the only thing that needs to be done is to cut in that way. So maybe I do all of the vertical cuts and then all of the horizontal ones. Don't know, but these need cutting either way, so let's cut them. I'll keep this in line with my vertical line I've got here. Try. So is that the best way of doing it? Probably not. Once again, I think the best thing to do is actually, if I want a slope, is to cut the whole thing off, then add the slope if I want it. And that will allow us to actually get to cut it off properly. Marking on the side here, line there. So I got these stairs out, which was a bit of an effort, and I've rolled them with some tin foil, and this one not done that side yet. Just wanted to kind of show you the difference. But with these, how I've cut this out, because I didn't think about it enough, I realised there's a couple of gaps there. So all I've done is taken a couple of excess bits of foam, rolled them with the roller, and then those will fill in like that. And a bit later on, I'll probably do something to either try and cover up that line or make it into a crack or something like that. So that's what we'll be doing that. Now next up with this is to put our brick detail on. So this is much the same, or exactly the same as we have done previously. So just taking our roller and we're going to press down nice and hard and roll it along here, doing our best to keep it straight, which for some reason I find really hard. So going to do similar on there and along there and on the back as well. So get all that. Time to do the top for this one, so I'm going to cut a sheet that's 26 first of all. Time to make the top part of this, so I've started by cutting a sheet to a rough approximation of the size of here. So we don't need to cover the stairs, so we're doing this bit here. So it's going to require a bit of thinking. So we know it goes up to there, here. Then you need to come out to measure that. And we want it to be a step as well. So it's going in there, it's an extra 2 centimetres. I'm going to go in just 4.7. So 8 in and then 4.7. We go in 8, trusty set square. I'm just going to go 4.7, basically there. Hopefully, this point here is going to go along this line there, which it does. The same on this side. 8 to there. Check how square this is. It doesn't look square to me. It's just that corner that's missing a bit. 0.7 is there, and draw it along the front. Now, I'm thinking this is going to end up being slightly too big. But slightly too big is better than slightly too small. But let's just cut it out and find out. It's pretty good to me, so you need to cut this out, but certainly good enough. I'd say that's pretty good. Slightly bigger here. This foam is you can actually push it in a bit or just squash it out a bit, so that's going to be fine. So this top part, it actually became pretty simple for me to decide exactly where the buildings are going to go. So one half of a 20 by 20 is going here, and then can have 2 buildings here like that. So these are going to be nice and simple to cut out, just like any of the other ones that you may have seen me do. So nice sharp knife, lining up. Maybe, depending on how sharp your knife is, you may want to go through slowly. So you may want to do a score line like that, then go a little bit deeper, and then on a third cut maybe and go just cutting out like that. So I'm going to do the same with these two as well. So for those cut out, it's time to add in our floor detail. So I'm and ahhing about what this should be like, because you've got building things here. Yeah, so what I might do is, I think for the most part it's going to be 2 by 2 squares across the whole of here, maybe not along here, and then the 1 centimetre trim around there. I think that, I don't know, I'm making up as I go along. So let's say that this building footprint needs to have a 20mm squares around it. So let's start with that and then see what it looks like. Drawing up over here, from here to here, and we can put our lines in. Trying to do them pretty straight, but not being too worried if they're not perfectly straight. Got a choice here to make whether these are going to be aligned perfectly or whether they're going to be just off. How far is? I don't know. I think it probably looks a bit more interesting. Does it look more interesting if they're misaligned? I don't know. What do they do on the other one? I think in terms of uniformity, it should be, these squares should continue in a grid rather than being misaligned. So that's what I'm going to do. Also makes them a lot easier to do. Just draw lines that way, I can draw lines that way. So I'm going to finish doing some squares and then see where I'm up to. So unlike previous ones where I've done the trim, I've decided that the whole top of this and the other 50mm high one is going to be just these squares like that. And then finished off by rubbing the tin foil over it just to create some stony texture. But that is going to be it for that. So that is the top of that one done once I finish all this rolling. So I need the top piece made for this. So we'll start by cutting out an appropriate sized piece. Square, that's square. Okay, looking good so far. This corner needs to come off. That's a very solid start. Cutting out all of that here. Surprise, I can't find my set square. Is this 5? That's 5. That is beautiful. I need to decide what's happening here. Whether it's going to be, it could be a continuation of a slope, or it could be a flat and then some slope here. Or could try and let's try and continue this slope. If this goes wrong, I can just cut it off. It could have gone a lot worse. How does it look? If we just, no. Yep, we'll go with that. And let's look at my plan as to where other buildings are going. So we know that there's going to be one here that needs to match up with the other one. And the plan, the place has gone out the window, so that's me there like that. Do we need anything else? Do we want anything else? So looking at the other top that this is going to join up to, I decided that I'm actually perfectly fine with this just having one single thing in it and this just being open space, which is going to be squares as well. So I'm going to cut that out that I've already marked, and then I'm going to draw squares across the whole rest of the thing, and then that'll be that done. There's the top done with the grid rolled with tin foil. So the only thing that needs to happen in terms of just the basic design of it is just to fill in these gaps here, and down here with a little bit of foam, just so that that's finished off. But other than that, it's done. So what I'm going to do with this one instead is put it onto here, get that down. I've got these little pieces here. These really aren't going to be going anywhere because they're going to be trapped onto something else anyway, but that there, that. Now I'm not going to be gluing this part onto here just yet, but I am going to be sticking this part onto this part, so in exactly the same way. Hey, check. Now we do want to clear up these side bits here. We don't want this setting solid, so just with a finger, just clearing it out, smearing it down, but definitely not leaving. Oh, chick! No, you've been fed! Now I'm going to do some work on the walls. So we've got this brick pattern that's been put all the way around, and in some places like this we've got some broken bits, so it doesn't really make sense for them to be like that. So let's cut these bricks out. One of the main places I'm going to do it is where I really messed up on the stairs here. So, as I often say with good enough scenery, that if you can't hide it, then accentuate it. So really going to tie into the idea of this being broken and collapsed by, rather than that being a line that's just straight down, there's going to be a whole bunch of bricks that are going to have fallen out, and then I'll kind of double down on that by having a bunch of rubble that's fallen down the side. So mostly this is going to be collapsed, I think. I mean, I could just make it entirely collapsed, that would be kind of cool. Let's see what it looks like when we've taken a few of these bricks out. I'm not trying to pull any particular brick out here, I'm just running my fingernail down it and just seeing what comes out, and I think that looks kind of cool. I don't think I'm going to completely collapse it, but I think that's going to sit with what I want it to look like. Again, it's going to cut through some brick lines, and then see what wants to come out of there. I think that works and looks damaged. I might just really open this bit up. I'd love to get rid of that kind of straight down line, it doesn't make any sense. That looks pretty decent. So that's the sort of thing along here where that's not gone, where the brick roll is joined. Again, good opportunity to put some damage in there as well. So I'm going to go around and do that sort of thing across all of these different walls, but that's the technique that I'm going to be using. So just like on the midsection, what I've done here is I've attached a strip here that lines up with this here, which means that this can be in place so it doesn't move anywhere, but it can also be positioned from side to side, so you can have it there or anywhere in between. And now, next up we want to add some rubble detail. Now, the main place I'm going to be adding this is along here and in this, all the way along this thing here, so it looks like this wall has crumbled down into it. And we're doing a little bit on top as well. So it's going to take our PVA and just apply some all over here. Can do some on the outer part as well. Just remind myself where this comes up to. Tearing that down. We can take our rubble, mainly concentrating on the smaller bits. So we don't want this interfering with the slidey part. I'll just about do it. What I'm going to do is just actually put this in and slide it back and forth just to make sure it's not too high on the outside as well, knowing this is not all going to stick, but just do a spray on top of this and finish this off by sprinkling some grey stone on top just to break up the colour. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to add some on the top here, there's a few little rubble piles, and I'm going to add some on the other board as well in the same way. And here is the higher section in all of its glory, perched in a corner overlooking the rest of the board. Really love how this has come together. I think it looks awesome, and I think tactically when playing the game it's going to be an interesting thing with just the single slope that cavalry can get up, as well as the stairs on the other side as well. So it can be as it is like there, as you saw at the start, it could be in the middle, or if you have it as two split sections overlooking the rest of the board, it's a fantastic bit of scenery. Now, whether you've watched this video for just a little bit of fun, whether you're planning on making something yourself, or whether you're just trying to find some inspiration for your board making, then I really hope that you've enjoyed it. Please like the video if you have done so. Please leave any comments, good or bad, about the project and about myself, and subscribe to it. Hit the notification bell. No one's listening at this point anyway, and please send me some money.